Hello and welcome to another edition of Mustang Basketball with Brad Bigler. I'm your host, Kelly Loft, Athletic Communications Director at Southwest Minnesota State University. And again, this week we'll talk Mustang men's basketball with the head coach, Brad Bigler, as we look back at last weekend's heartbreaking games against Winona State and Upper Iowa. We'll also preview the next home action for the Mustangs as they start the new year as they host Minnesota State or Minnesota Crookston and Minnesota State Moorhead at the RA facility. And again, welcome back to the show. We had a week off. We've been gone now for a couple of weeks with the show, and a lot's happened since the last time we've been on the air. We were 2-0 in the conference. We've now played 4 straight road games, and unbelievable, Brad. And we'll talk about them. We'll see the highlights here, but the 4 games all going down to the last second against St. Cloud State and Concordia. The Mustangs had a chance to win the game with 3-pointers at the buzzer. They both rimmed out. And then on this past weekend against Winona State and Upper Iowa, the Mustangs hit baskets to get leads late in the game, the final seconds, and then last second shot, buzzer beaters. The Mustangs get beat and now have lost 4 in a row. Sit at 5-5 in the conference, or 5-5 overall, and 2-4 in the NSIC. And we'll talk about these games, Coach, but you played a long time of high school and elementary and college basketball. You've coached many games. If you see anything like this 4-game stretch that the Mustangs have gone through, it is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I can't, I've never been a part of something like this where it's been so close and it comes down to literally one possession. One possession makes a difference, and a lot of times at the very end of the game, that possession is probably more emphasized, but throughout the course of the game as a coach, you evaluate every decision, you evaluate every play call, every loose ball, and it could drive you crazy if you wanted to. Yeah,
of course, what we're talking about this last weekend on December 17th, the Mustangs play at Winona State, the preseason pick to win the NSIC. They're ranked 7th in the country, and the Mustangs, catch some breaks, some free throws missed by Winona State in the final 10 seconds, but you get the rebound, you make 1 free throw, you purposely miss the second, you get the rebound, and Jordan Miller hits a 3-pointer, you go up by 1 point, a chance maybe to win the basketball game, and then with 3 seconds to go, Winona State comes down, and Anthony Tucker hits a shot just inside half court, and you lose. And then against Upper Iowa the next night, Mustangs in overtime get a basket by Taylor Hughesby with 5 seconds to go and take a 2-point lead. And Upper Iowa inbounds it, finds Dan Bestel, and he hits a 3-pointer, and the Mustangs lose by a point. And again, it's just good execution, obviously, by the other teams. As you mentioned several times, you have to give them credit for making plays. And even against St. Cloud, 2 weeks prior to that, a chance to win the game, and some missed free throws by St. Cloud. And we've talked about this numerous times, Coach, how when you win a game, like Northwest Missouri State, where you score the last 9 or 10 points and you win by a point and you win, you go, oh, everything's just fine. But there are some things that need to be worked on. And now, if you would have won 2 or 3 of these games, which we'd much rather have done that, there's still things to work on. And now we have the losses, but I'm sure these are things the guys can learn from here. We've got a long break for Christmas and the New Year, but still lots of basketball to be played.
And going into the year, we went into this season, and I talked with the guys right away about turning this into almost 2 seasons. With so many new guys and freshmen and whatever, that first half until Christmas, we said, hey, we need to learn. We're going to be put in some situations. We're playing some tough teams. We can't allow that to affect our play throughout the year. And hopefully when we come back from Christmas break that we've learned from our mistakes. We've done some good things, and now it's a matter of taking those things and going on a run after Christmas. And then we're still thinking that same process. Unfortunately, some things didn't go our way the last 4 games. The ball, sometimes needs to bounce your way. Sometimes you need to get a little lucky. And that wasn't the case the last 4 games. And now we have to see what we're made of when we come back from Christmas.
Well, we've talked about this throughout the first 10 games of the season, and a lot of the new players that the Mustangs and that your coaching staff are playing with, and even late in the games, you're seeing Matt Zager get some big minutes, and Bernard Birch, and these are freshman players. Bernard, a true freshman. You have another true freshman, Nick Smith, had 8 points on 4 field goals against Upper Iowa, and these guys are developing now. And I'm sure now the more you get into the season, we can't rely to say they're just freshmen, because they're starting to play now and getting some big minutes, which is going to help later on in the season.
And you could throw in Lavion West in the mix. The combination of Lavion West, Matt Zager, Will Giddings, Nick Smith, Bernard Birch. And that's a lot of young guys who are still trying to find an identity, still trying to find a role. And this past weekend, it was nice to see Matt and Lavion really step up in that scoring category. That's something that they're both capable of doing. And, with Will Giddings, Bernard Birch, and Nick Smith, all of them are going to have their moments as well. And I'm probably forgetting somebody, but it's nice. I mean, these guys are working hard, they're doing the right things, and they're developing. And now, once they get a little bit more confidence, a little bit more reps, we're going to see a lot more production out of them.
And you're seeing a lot of production, not just from your top scorers, Jordan Miller and Scott Rail, but other guys are stepping up. And Lavion West with 15 points against Winona State, and 7 of 11 shooting, and Matt Zager. When your top guys, 2 of your top field goal shooters in those games is a sophomore and a freshman, and that's good to see, and that's going to help that balance, because you can't just key on Scott Rail or Jordan Miller.
And right now, to kind of add on to that too, we're still looking to find those last 5 guys who are going to finish ball games. I mean, we've experimented with some different lineups, and we're still looking for a few guys to step up when the opportunity presents itself, and to really take those minutes, or take that role or that spot. And because we need to find 5 guys who want to finish ball games and do it the right way.
Well, again, the Mustangs lose on the 17th of December by a score of 68-66 to Winona State. Big night for Lavion West, 15 points, also 15 for Jordan Miller, including the nearly game-winning three-pointer at the end of in the regulation. 12 points for Matt Zager, and 12 points, 9 rebounds for Scott Rail. And he bounced back the next night. Scott did with 16 points and 16 rebounds, and he's probably just become one of the top rebounders that you've ever coached or played with during your career, because he just gets the basketball when he wants it. And sometimes that's attitude, and Scott can do that, and he's a smart player, knowing where to go to get those rebounds. But 16-16 is a pretty impressive number.
And I think he learned from maybe the best in Ross Damasi, and how to chase down rebounds, how to go through contact, how to take good angles, and a lot of it just comes down to pure effort. I think Scott is a guy who he competes on every possession. He's been through the battles. He knows what it takes, and he's producing at a high level right now, and it's good to see.
Well, again, the Mustangs and the Warriors, a battle, and same with Upper Iowa the next night, and we'll see some of the highlights here shortly. But one thing that we got to see is a lot of strategy late in the ball games on what to do if you're up or down, and we saw it a couple weeks ago. We talked about against Augustana, we had a 3-point lead. We elected to foul, and they missed free throws. You won the game. Winona State did the same. We took advantage of it and had a chance to win the basketball game, and we don't want to get into what your strategy and what might change if not, obviously for later on in the season. But it is pretty amazing how it can work both ways as a coach, and the decisions that you have to make on the fly in the last seconds of a game.
And this weekend was almost a perfect example of every end-of-game situation. How you defend a last shot, how do you defend, you foul, or do you let them make a 3-point attempt like Upper Iowa did, and we knocked down a 3 the following night. There's just a lot of different things at the end of games you can do. And, at the end of the day, it comes down to players making plays. A lot of times some things will break down, and a guy's got to make a play, whether it's a half-court shot, whether it's making free throws, or with Matt Zager having that good miss on that free throw to allow us to knock that ball out, and Jordan Miller, of course, knocking down that 3. So there's so many different things that can happen at the end of ball games. But at the end of the day, I truly believe, as a former player and now as a coach, players got to make plays at the end of ball games and win you games.
Well, again, the Mustangs now 5-5 overall and 2-4 in the NSIC, and still plenty of basketball to be played in the conference. And you just look at some of the scores around the NSIC. You got Wayne State picks up a nice road win at Minnesota State Moorhead on Friday, and then loses to Minnesota Crookston. And Crookston's playing good basketball this year. And Augie loses to Moorhead the following night. And University of Mary was 1-3 at one point. Now they're 3-3 in the conference. And Concordia goes to St. Cloud and wins. Without 2 of their better players. So it's going to go down to the wire, and I think this was a great example this past couple of weekends of how close this league is. And kind of the amazing stat we've talked about this week for the Mustangs, and I think our fans know, but the first game of the year against Northwest Missouri, Mustangs won by 5, but it was a game that was not decided until 5 seconds to go in the game. against Augustana. There was a half-court shot made by Augustana. It didn't matter. Mustangs were still up by 5 points, but it was a half-court buzzer beater that was made. Again, the shots down at the end of the wire against Northwest Missouri State and Marshall was a half-court shot, which now you look at what happened. I can't believe that didn't go in for Northwest Missouri, but that was a half-quarter that was missed at the buzzer, and then these 4 games in a row that had chances to win. And you got to give credit. You know, Jordan Miller missed a couple of threes that could have won the games against St. Cloud and Concordia, but he came back and, you know, didn't have a great shooting night numbers-wise versus Upper Iowa or Winona State, but he made some clutch shots when he needed to and nearly was, you know, game-winning shots.
And especially when he hit that shot against Winona, I was pretty excited for him. I mean, he came off. I think he took it pretty hard where you missed a couple shots where you could win the ball game, and for him to be able to get that opportunity to knock down that shot, and he took advantage of it. I was pretty excited for him, and I think, you know, he just followed up on the next night against Upper Iowa with another big 3, and he's a guy who's going to be put in that situation a lot throughout his career, and he's a guy that we're pretty comfortable knocking down those threes.
And he did show it this last weekend. Unfortunately, the Mustangs just could not hang on to the victories. We're going to take a look at the highlights now from this past weekend as Winona State and the Mustangs tipped off on Friday the 17th. Then we start off here with the highlights. And again, Lavion West, 7 of 11 from the field and a great backdoor to start the game.
And Lavion showed his versatility this game. He not only got to the rim, he knocked down some distance shots. He also had some mid-range pull-ups. You can see that he's playing with a lot more confidence on the offensive end.
That was Nick Smith with a jumper. Here's Taylor Hughesby with an offensive board and finding Scott Rail. Good action to the basket. Mustangs trail by 6 in the first half, or at halftime, and trailed for much of this first half.
I got to give a lot of credit to Winona State through this first half. They really had us out of sync, and when you watch it on film, I think our guys are almost trying to do too much rather than sharing the basketball, playing unselfishly. We were pretty sticky with it, and Winona was getting a lot of hands-on balls. They were winning a loose ball game, and I think we might have dodged a bullet a little bit in that first half.
Yeah, to get down by 6, you're down double digits, but rallied back down by 12, as much as 12 points in the first half. But coming back, you see Scott Ray with a couple of baskets for the Mustangs. And here's William Giddings, strong off the left side of the lane. He with the basket for the redshirt freshman. And here's Jordan Miller with one of his three-pointers. And then back to Lavion West here in the bottom of this screen.
And Lav, you'll see here, getting in the paint, throwing a fake, going to a little bit of a jump hook / shot, just showing his versatility.
Nick Smith with 9 rebounds in the game, a career high, and here's one of those rebounds, and right there for the rebound, and goes up and draws the foul, and then here's another basket by Lavion. Mustangs get it down to 6 here in the final minute of the first half. Gets the old board and the putback, and the Mustangs down by 6 here at halftime. Now we start the second half, and great way to start the second half. You're down 6, you come back and tie it right away with a couple of threes set up by that steal.
And you'll see here the ball gets worked around as Jordan gets it here. He's going to see Lavion on the backside coming off a stagger, knocks down the three-point shot.
Again, Lavion, that's his only three-pointer of the night. Mustangs trail by 3 at this point early in the second half, and now tie it as Jordan Miller hits the second of his 4 three-pointers in the game, and all of a sudden the game is tied. And from then on, it was a back-and-forth battle. Here's Nick Smith. We're setting up here shortly. It's Matt Zager with the drive with the and-1. Zager again 12 points on 5 of 8 shooting, and here's Nick Smith on a great pass from Scott Rail.
And Nick Smith actually finds Scott Rail on that one. That was a good pass. Jordan Miller with a quick handoff. Bernard Birch, some teams right now are playing off him, and we're fine. We need Bernard. If they're going to do that, we need Bernard to go find Jordan Miller, do a handoff type action, and that's hard to defend if they're going to play off him.
Another great look for the Mustangs. Points in the paint, SMSU outscored Winona 34-16, and it's a great example there of a high percentage shot with Lavion West with the basket. And a great look here, Jordan Miller, great bounce pass to Lavion for the layup. And here's a missed chance here for the Mustangs, Brad.
And this was, these are the types of plays that for a coach to go back and evaluate. We give up one offensive rebound here. Then we end up giving up a second offensive rebound, and then they bury a three. And those are the possessions that you go back and, you need to make those plays. If you want to win games on the road, those are the plays that you need to make.
It's a momentum turner, and the crowd got back into it. Now the Mustangs, they'll answer back. Jordan Miller fouled on this three-point opportunity, and he makes all 3 free throws.
And that's actually, that was the play right there where Jordan hurt his hip. Later in the game, was affected by it. He kind of jokingly said it was his own elbow that kind of hit his elbow or hit his hip. Right there, you saw Matt Zager with the nice finish.
And William Giddings, 4 points, 4 rebounds, and again, action to the rim. Mustangs using their athleticism and getting to the hoop and getting a basket. Mustangs clear the rebound and come back the other way. Here's Matt Zager, the redshirt freshman.
With a great finish across the paint.
We're getting now later on in the second half, and again, it's just been a great college basketball game between 2 very good programs. And Zager with that basket. Here's Scott Rayo with the turnaround shot, and again, Rayo with 12 points, 9 rebounds, and then Matt Zager again. And again, these are big minutes for a freshman playing in his first, just his 9th college basketball game of his career.
As you'll see, he comes off the stagger on the baseline, gets his feet set, and knocks down the jump shot.
And when a missed opportunity here for the Mustangs, again, a 1-and-1 with about a 6-point lead at this point. And when you miss the front end of a 1-and-1, it's like missing 2. And it's little things like this that are difference makers in a game.
And that's where the last 5 minutes, we had our opportunities. We're up 6. We missed that front end of 1-on-1. We see Lavion West come here and make this basket. And then Lavion West follows up with a great hustle play. You'll see him chase down this offensive rebound. As he chased down this rebound, we get a timeout, end up coming out of the timeout, run a simple play, basically just get Scott Rail the basketball. And, with that play, Scott goes and finishes. But here's where you'll see us after this made basket right here. He tries doing the flop, C.J. Erickson, but they don't get it, call it. Here's again where we, this is where we got to tighten up. This is where if we want to win big ball games, we can't have turnovers at the end of games. And right here, we're going to see Scott Rail get doubled. If he gets this ball out, we get an easy look. But unfortunately, they turn us over.
And get a basket on the other end. You're almost going to score 2, and then you give up 2. That's just a double backbreaker.
Yes.
Here's Bernard Birch. You've seen this throughout his early portion of his career, ability to get to the rim and hit a big basket. And here's, again, some big turnovers here in the last 2-3 minutes of the game. And
this is a situation where we need our point guard or perimeter player to kind of go get this basketball. Nick's in a tough position. The ball is a loose ball, and somebody needs to go get that from him and take control of the game.
There's a turnover on Nick Smith, and now Bernard Birch with a turnover just throws it away. Mustangs missed an opportunity there.
And that was a tough one because we came out of timeout. We're setting up a back door, and the back door was there. Bernard just misread the play, and that was a pretty costly turnover at that point of the game.
Here's the free throw. Mustangs down by 2 or 3 at the point. They missed the first, made the first, misses the second. Scott Rail over to Jordan Miller for 3, and he hits it. And the Mustangs right now up by a point. In the last, there's 3 seconds to go, and the Mustangs very excited. And then unfortunately, here comes the backbreaker, Anthony Tucker, the transfer from the University of Iowa, will win the ball game here after the timeout.
And after the made, we had regrouped the guys, get them more focused. We put in a couple substitutions just to have some better matchups. As we're talking in the huddle, we go over things, and this is where we need to get better as a team. This is where maybe youth plays a part, where we're in a lot of emotion. Guys have to be able to listen.
Tucker gets in the backcourt, and that's just inside the half-court line, and it banks in, and pretty amazing play. Winona State thought they might have won the national championship with that shot they made there. Coaches taking off jackets, exciting for them and well deserved. They made the play and they get the win by the score of 68-66. So we'll touch base on that game. So the tough thing about you lose that game versus Winona State, and obviously a great win for the Warriors, and now you got to bounce back and play Upper Iowa the following night, and that's probably the positive, that you get to play the next night and try to erase that. But completely different environments. It's a smaller gym playing against Upper Iowa. They're on break as well, so not a lot of students there, and you kind of got to make your own excitement to get up for the ball game.
And I guess fortunately for me, I have a lot of family in that area, so I'll tend to get a good 10 to 15 people there just for my own family. But it's a tough situation. After the game versus Winona in the locker room, there's a lot of tears, a lot of emotion. Guys felt like they competed hard enough to maybe to win that ball game. And give credit to Anthony Tucker to step up and knock that shot down. That was a heck of a shot. I wish we would have executed that last possession a little bit better, but there's so many possessions throughout the game. Like I said, those last 3 turnovers in the last 5 minutes. If you do one thing right, maybe it's a whole different ball game and maybe it plays out differently. But no, we got to learn from those mistakes. We got to continue to grow as a team, and Upper Iowa the following night was a great way to bounce back and try to get that next win. Well,
unfortunately, the Mustangs lose in overtime 75-74 on a last-second three-pointer, and we're going to take a look at those highlights between the Peacocks and the Mustangs from Fayette, Iowa. We start off in the first half, and tough video here to see some of this stuff, but Jordan Miller with the basket. Mustangs shoot just 35% in the first half, but he did get some good looks, and Taylor Huseby with a couple of plays here back-to-back, including a nice post move.
And I did feel that we got some good looks. I thought we shared the basketball a lot better tonight. This was a physical basketball game. Both teams, they were. I would say they were consistent though. But both teams, there was a lot of contact in the paint area, and which was not being called, but which was fine. It was being called equally on both ends, and our guys had to find a way to battle through it.
Scott Ray with 2 of his 16 points that led the Mustangs. Trent Carlson with a big three-pointer for the Mustangs in the first half, his only basket of the night. And here's a long-range jumper by Lavion West for 2. Then in the fast break, Bernard Birch pulls up from 17, buries it. And then Nick Smith, again, 4 of 7, 8 points from the true freshman from Iowa, playing in his home state with a basket. And the Mustangs with a steal as Mustangs come back the other way, and Jordan Miller with the three-pointer.
And you'll see this is a deep three. I mean, he caught that ball without hesitation from about 24 and knocked that down. Nice pass here from Nick Smith to Scott Rail with the finish.
And then the end of the first half, Mustangs get an offensive rebound. Scott Rail, again, 16 boards in the contest. Now we go to the second half. Mustangs trail by 5 at halftime. We're up by as many as 8 in the first half, but they again continue to pour it on here early on as a couple of baskets for the Mustangs. Here's Nick Smith with the basket, and then Lavion West hitting a 3 in the left corner. And Lavion in this contest, 9 points, 4 rebounds. That's his only three-point attempt. And then William Giddings with another basket. And then here's a 3 by Zager with an assist from Giddings.
And there was a period during the second half where we were taking advantage of their press. They were getting up, trying to pressure us, and we were scoring off it. Later on in the game, I don't know if we handled that same pressure the same way. We got a little bit on our heels, maybe not as aggressive, and unfortunately, they took advantage of it and got a couple of turnovers when they needed them.
Mustangs trail by 8. About 8 minutes to go in the contest, 8:30, but came back on an 8-0 run, tied it, just kept chipping away. There's a couple of hoops here for the Mustangs, and now we're getting down to the last minute, and you trail by 3. Here with the basket, the Mustangs catch a big break. Bernard Birch with the basket, and then here's Scott Rail with the hoop going in, and now the Mustangs trail by 3 at this point with about 6 seconds to go.
And Bernard does a good job getting some deep penetration. We find Jordan Miller on a kick out who knocks it down. And again, that was a good shot by Jordan Miller, a good find by Bernard Birch. And the one thing I'll say about that play is that we did keep our composure. Coming out of that timeout, we were composed. Our heads were right. We knew exactly what we wanted to do.
Mustangs go up early. Lavian West with the basket, and then the Mustangs extended it to 4-point lead here in overtime with another basket by Lavian. Again, 9 points, 4 of 9 shooting, and confidence your way, but a couple of fouls, and the Mustangs give up 4 points on free throws, and then Scott Rail, about a minute and a half to go, gives the Mustangs a 2-point lead. Now the game is tied, under 10 seconds left.
And Upper Iowa switches their defense. They go to a zone, and Taylor Hughesby has a deep seal, gets a seal, and goes with the finish.
So the Mustangs up 2 with 5 seconds to go, and here's the game-winning play by Upper Iowa.
And as you see, we're trying to get some matchups. They came out and we didn't necessarily match up according to maybe how we wanted to, and that at the end of the day played a big part. Not exactly sure what happened with Jordan Miller on the play. That was his man who caught the basketball to bring it up, and he was nowhere in the picture. So I can't remember exactly how they got open, but Matt Zager did his job. He stopped the basketball. Not exactly sure where Jordan was at that time, but give them credit. They still made a 3-point shot with a guy in his face, and it's a tough shot. It's a player's game. They made the play at the end to win the ball game.
Well, it is an incredible couple of weeks for Mustang men's basketball fans, and you're still sitting at 500 overall, and now 2-4 in the conference. And again, 22 conference games this year. We've only played 6, so it's lots of basketball to go. And now we have a couple of weeks off for Christmas, and as you said, you kind of have the 2 seasons now, and I'm sure the guys, it hurt obviously after Saturday's game, and again, you had tears Friday. There was tears on Saturday as well, and just because you work so hard. We say this in all our sports, you work too hard to have moral victories. There's no such thing, and you want to have success with a W on the board, and it's going to turn around. There's a reason for this happening now, and hopefully the guys will learn from that. Now you have a couple of weeks off, and talk about what will happen now. You'll return right after Christmas, and get ready for some big games, because Minnesota Crookston and Minnesota State Moorhead and every team in the league could care less that we've had some very incredibly tough losses.
And that's right. And we have to keep that in the back of our mind. Our guys maybe this is the perfect time to get away, to refresh, to re-energize. We'll come back on the 27th with practice. We'll do a couple two-a-days of a different variety. And then we end up playing on the 1st and 2nd versus Crookston and Moorhead. I'm not exactly sure if that's the right order, but which we have to be ready to go. Both of them will present some matchups that we'll have to defend, and both of them have played some good basketball. Moorhead they've given us fits in the past with their matchups inside, and they're going to be a team that we're going to have to really focus on, and especially rebound the basketball. And Crookston is much improved, coming off that win versus Wayne State. That's a great win for them. They're going to be coming back with a lot of confidence. So take care of home court. Yeah. That's what we got to do.
Well, it should be an interesting week. It starts off the new year on January 1st and 2nd. That is a Saturday, Sunday, so that is correct. We're not playing Friday on New Year's Eve. So January 1st, and the start time is a little bit different. Doubleheaders at 4 and 6 on Saturday, and then 3 and 5 on Sunday. So Mustang men will take on Minnesota Crookston at 6 o'clock on January 1st, and then take on Minnesota State Moorhead at 5 o'clock on Sunday, January 2nd. So it should be an exciting season of basketball continuing. It's been unbelievable so far, and we know the Mustangs will keep their heads up and be ready to go. It should be an exciting second half to this season. 16 games left here in the regular season as the Mustangs continue to try to climb up there in the conference standings and make a run at it, because everybody's got at least one loss, and a lot of teams already have 2 and 3 in the conference, so it's going to come down right down to the wire. So check it out, Mustang men's basketball, January 1st and 2nd at home against Minnesota Crookston and Minnesota State Moorhead. And again, Brad, Merry Christmas to you and your family and the entire Mustang coaching staff, and also to everybody at home as well. Thanks for watching Mustang basketball with Brad Bigler. We wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We want to thank Jess Nelson here at Studio One for all his hard work on getting these shows on the air. For the head coach, Brad Bigler, I'm Kelly Loft. Thanks for watching this week's episode of Mustang Basketball with Brad Bigler. Until next time, go Mustangs.